Frank Mir, you versus Antonio Tarver, April 17th. How did this come about?
Malky and I have been talking because I signed with BKFC. That was the original plan. So I've been training for that, getting prepared for possibly an April 17th fight. And then about a month ago, this got presented to me to do a full-blown boxing match with Antonio Tarver, and I jumped at the opportunity. It's a great opportunity for a challenge. I've always wanted to step in the boxing ring. I think all people that are mixed martial artists, we like challenging ourselves at the individual aspects of what makes our sport kind of like the decathlon of the martial arts world. And, competing against somebody who's a legitimate former world champion. I mean, the guy was, as an amateur in 95, he was the world champ, best guy in the world, bronze medalist in 96 in the Olympics. The guy has 2 wins over Roy Jones Jr., who's personally one of my favorite boxers of all time. Tarver is no slouch. And so, somebody who hasn't fought in a couple years, a little bit older than I am, so there are some advantages that kind of come back my way. But, realistically, this is a win-win for me because I got nothing to lose. I go out there, and even if I were to lose the match, which I really intend on trying to win this fight, win it early. I don't know about going 10 rounds. But, I go the distance and look good. That's a victory for mixed martial arts. That's a victory for us, I know what it feels like to be the guy defending your sport against an outsider coming in. It's nerve-wracking, so all the stress is really on his end.
A lot of people are also going to say he's doing it for the money. Is there a lot of the reasoning that came behind the decision to fight Antonio Tarver was the money itself? Because we've known you as a competitor, so everything you said does sound pretty good to us.
Money doesn't hurt, and it helps convince my wife why I want to do things. Otherwise, doing things for free makes it difficult for me to get out of the house. She's like, nah, training 3 or 4 times a day is not going to be on the docket. But I sit there and go, hey, that person you've been talking about? That vacation, we'll take care of it now. Just let me go train. And so that's the benefit of being financially taken care of for a bout. But as far as if that's the reason you're getting out of bed when you're sore and tired, it's just not good enough. Because, hey, look, I can just show up out of shape, fat, pull a 1-round loss and get paid the same amount of money and won and done it if it was all about financial gain. But look, I have my kids staring at me that I have to constantly be a consummate example to for everything I say, that I try to live it to. I have fans out there that, that look up to me and that I inspire. To go out there and just dial it in and just do it for the money, that wouldn't be me. That wouldn't be who I am.
We've seen a lot of these fights recently where some of the older guard has gotten in there in their high 40s, low 50s, and it's a considerable drop-off. Is that something you also thought as well? Because you are fighting, like I say, someone who's got amazing credentials in boxing.
I want to win, so I'm hoping there is an amazing drop-off. I hope that he does come out there and looks every bit of 52 and a guy with a lot of miles on it so I can put his ribs into the first row. I want to be victorious. I'm a competitor. Who doesn't want to win? And if you're going in there and don't want to win, then you need to go ahead and retire. That's, But I'm not really planning for that because I train with some guys in their 50s, you know what I mean? Marvin Eastman, he's 52. He's still in phenomenal shape. Hell, my lifting partner, Nick Best, is 52. And he beats me in every exercise in the gym. You know what I mean? I get it that that's weight training, but it still shows you that if you're active and you're out there pushing, there's different 50-year-olds out there, And the book, I guess it's still a question mark on what kind of 52-year-old Tarver is going to be. But I'm training for one that has 40 years of boxing experience and who's also in very good shape. Right now, the contract that I have says 10 rounds, which honestly surprised me a little bit. I figured they wanted this to be a 4-round exhibition, so that way that it would kind of take away the fact that I'm going to have a considerable size and power advantage. But when I saw 10 rounds on there, I was like, oh, I'm allowed to go ahead and knock this guy out early, and try to crush him. And so when I saw that, I was like, okay, well, maybe in their mind, the strategy that I would think, I always put myself in my enemy's shoes, jump on me early, see what I'm made out of to begin with. Maybe my skill set is lacking, and he can make it a short night. If that doesn't come out to be very advantageous for him, sit back, cruise for the next 3 or 4 rounds. Hopefully the fact that I'm a 275-pound man going 10 rounds for the very first time in his life, maybe Mayweather, Conor McGregor me. The fact we go into deep waters and he knows how to use the fact that his economy of motion, his leverage, his technique, and his efficiency from boxing for a considerable amount of longer time than I have will allow him to carry it into deep waters and survive where my power won't be such an advantage.
You've trained boxing throughout your entire career with very good coaches. Is this a matter of hitting the reset button on Frank Mir, or is it just tightening a few screws here and there as far as training goes for this guy?
No, and actually there are adjustments we make, which is cool because one thing I've always told people now, the mistake I made in the past is I did boxing training when I fell in love with boxing, and it really did help out. I got on a knockout streak there for a while in MMA, but then I was sparring boxing with boxers, a week up until my MMA fight. And then all of a sudden I'm doing boxing type of defensive maneuvers and it doesn't work as well in MMA. So now I pretty much say, hey, you can train 1 or 2 days the different disciplines. Like I still train jiu-jitsu, no-gi. But if you're training no-gi jiu-jitsu a week before your MMA fight, you might get in trouble because it's a different animal. The basics are the same, but and wrestling and boxing all the same, but you can't just perfect that. So right now I'm getting to just practice boxing and not have to worry about that transitional phase of, all right, but now I got to get ready for getting kicked in the leg, or for someone changing levels or shooting on me, or working from the clinch, getting kneed in the gut, getting my head pulled on, and so now I get to work just the aspects of boxing. One thing is in MMA that we can't do is I get to now carry my weight on my back leg, which really loads up the power in my left hand, allows me to jab much faster. In MMA, we fight more 50-50 and we keep our weight much more even because we have to worry about getting kicked, worry about being taken down. In boxing, I can blade a lot more. You even see sometimes I can lower my lead hand because now I can shoulder roll and defend the right side of my face with my shoulder, where I can't do that in an MMA fight because I'll get a shin stuck around the back of my head. Right now I'm training with John Wood, and John Wood's going to be in my corner for the rest of my career as far as MMA training, striking and stuff. And right now I'm talking to Carl Prince, who's been my striking coach the last couple of fights, but he runs the Manchester top team down in England, or Manchester. And so I'm trying to get him to come out here, but obviously with COVID and everything, how it's going right now, that's actually a text we were doing back and forth last night because of his obligations to other fighters that he has, that are in the UFC. If he comes over here and has to quarantine back before them, and just we're trying to make it to where it works and doesn't, I'm not trying to be a detriment to people. As far as bringing guys in, I have a few guys on the list. In fact, actually, Monday, Derek Harmon's going to come inside. Whether he trains with me or has a coaching, that's still yet to be seen, but at least pick the mind of somebody who has his box at a high level, who has phenomenal boxing pedigree. Reach out to Roy Jones, see what, maybe he has, his mind on it. But as far as me trying to go ahead and right now, 7-8 weeks of training left for the fight, try to convert over to be a pure boxer and relearn everything, there's just no way. I don't have enough time. And I've seen guys make that mistake with me. I've been on the other side of it, where I've had fights and guys go, hey man, so-and-so's flying out, black belt and this and that with credentials that dwarf mine, and he's going to help the guy you're fighting with his jiu-jitsu. I'm all, oh, great. They're like, that doesn't scare you? I'm like, no. What makes it worse is when someone's afraid of a certain area, because then they avoid it like the plague. I'm like, but all of a sudden they learn just enough to be comfortable to go ahead and get in the water with me. I'm still a shark. You get in the water, I don't care how many swim lessons you have, I'm going to eat you.
When you've been around the BKFC scene, is there anything you saw Tarver probably in running into him, which, just psychologically or mentally you made a note of that you think you might be able to carry into the fight on April 17th?
No, but obviously there's a lot of footage out there, videos, watching guys do interviews, watching how guys talk and conduct. There's always information you can glean from that. I think that's why some people can watch my social media. Sometimes I have a hard time posting things of myself. I've just now recently even posted a video of myself showing a choke because I realize that I garner a lot of information psychologically from how, hell, I watch how you walk into a room, who you greet, how you greeted them, who did you look over, who did you make eye contact with, how did you make eye contact with them. And so I know that the more information I give out about myself, people can read that too. So I'm constantly to struggle. Me and my wife battle about that all the time. She's like, post your stuff every day. I'm like, ah! I struggle with it. So as far as Tarver, no, I haven't got to meet him personally. But obviously he's been in the limelight, world champion for, been at the top of the sport in boxing for many years. So, he has a lot of footage of his world boxing, whereas, the advantage to me, he's going to be watching film of me doing MMA boxing, Really, there's no film of me straight boxing. Honestly, I would like to keep doing this. Look, I'm 41 and I'm having my own midlife crisis. I really am. My wife makes jokes about it all the time. Most guys go out there and get a young girlfriend or drive a brand new Corvette, right? I'm out there sitting there going, hey, maybe I can start boxing. Can I get into the K1? What wrestling tournaments can I get into? And like I'm trying to find these different ways of, because I know that my window of competition is closing on me. Even now with Nick, I'm talking to him like, so can I do strongman competitions as an amateur? And what weight would I do it? And my wife, she's screaming at me. She's well, really? You want to with the injuries you've occurred over the year? You're going to try to now pick stones up and run with it across the parking lot? I'm all, yeah. She's all, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. But if you figure it out, please help me.